Something inside of you told you to click. Something inside of you said, I would like to follow this thumbnail and see what the video has in store for me. And you decided correctly. Your instinct is going to serve you right today. I am Ethan Young. This is the Ethan Young Podcast. You're here. I'm here. Let's make it happen. I realized the other day I had worked not even that much, honestly. It was only like an 8, ultimately 9.5 hour day. So normal humans are doing this, 5, 6, 7 times a week, depending on how hard the demand on your job is. And so I had just gotten done and I was like, God, I want fucking fast food. I want to go to a liquor store. I want to get like a fucking, one of those, where they have the single serve section in the liquor store and it's got the micheladas and it's got like the fucking, it's where like Four Locos used to be. It's where it's got these like, just one single serve type drinks. It's got like the tall boys, so to speak, where it's got like the 24 ounce. I saw myself while I was driving home. I was like, I would fucking love to pull into Panda Express right now. I'd love to pull into a liquor store, and I'd love to just fucking go home and eat some orange chicken and just fucking drink like, I don't know, a michelada, drink some sort of fucking beverage that I shouldn't be having. It's something that I've tried a lot lately, and I was going through a line the other day, and I don't even think the lady believed me, but I was getting a White Claw, and I had only tried this one kind of White Claw, and she was like, have you tried that one? And I was like, no, I haven't. I've actually only tried the mango one, but the mango one was all fucked up. The can was like destroyed. It looked like somebody dropped it, crushed it. It was completely destroyed right where I was going to put my mouth. So I was like, well, I'm not going to buy that can. So I tried the watermelon one, and when I told her I'd never tried it before, she acted like that was not the answer she was expecting, or she just didn't want to continue the conversation. And so one of these other things that I've been drinking when I will drink, which I heard, and I wasn't going to talk about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial just yet, but one of the things that I heard at that trial is that gentleman said, one of the doctors, I think it was, mentioned that drinking one time a week is not alcohol troubles or whatever the fuck, like it's not having an issue. And I was very under the assumption that if you drank like 52 times a year, i.e. being like once a week, that you totally had an issue. And so that was one thing that I was like, that's pretty cool. If you think that you can keep yourself to once a week, it sounds like a lot in my opinion. It's like, yeah, I drank over 50 times last year. Like there was a couple of years ago, I literally could count on one hand the amount of times I drank the entire year. And then I think even the following year, it was pretty much all of COVID. Like pretty much COVID, I didn't, the terrible word, the word that shall not be said, the word that I shouldn't have mentioned, the word that's going to take my already not viewable video and just going to fucking plummet it to the floor, like Netflix stocks. But just kidding. I personally don't remember what I was talking about or where we were going, but that's not important. Right. So I get done and I'm like, I find out like, Jesus Christ, like this is what everybody's going through. You know what I mean? Like everybody that works a minimum of 8 hours a day, they get off and they feel like I deserve a reward. I've completed my obligations. I've done my shift for the day. I've done my work for the day. I've completed the things that I was supposed to complete for my day. And now I deserve my reward. And it's so easy just to pull in to a fast food restaurant. Like literally I was thinking, again, I mentioned personally like going to somewhere like Panda Express, but the fucking orange chicken, like it's funny. I remember I had this hotel gig a long time ago, and I pretty much was never a trader. I was never, and by that I mean I would never. It was rare that I would trade things because I remember I worked a long time ago. This is fucking segue on segue. I remember a long time ago I worked at a water park. One of my first jobs was being a lifeguard at a small water park in my hometown, and so this particular water park was making trades, and when they made a trade with one of this local barbecue restaurants, they said, hey, you can get free X amount of free passes for the next amount of X amount of years if you give us catering for free for our events. And we had the best barbecue catered events by a place here in town by this gentleman. His name was Kelly, but and his wife, I met her. Her name was Barbara. So Kelly and Barbara Green, I believe was their names if I remember correctly. And they had made this amazing barbecue, and they traded with this water park that I worked for. And the water park went out of business. The guy, had beautiful new spinners on his fucking Navigator every year, and he got us drunk many, many times, but he was not able to fulfill that trade. And that just taught me years later, like, I would probably not be wise as a business owner or business manager to trade with people, because otherwise, I would just make sure that they're going to fulfill their side of the trade. Maybe make sure there's some way to keep them accountable or keep them. And so that's where I was like, you say trader, and it could be like Traitor or like Trader, trader or trader. So I just wanted to clarify that I meant trader. I'm normally not much of a trader, but this particular group, like, we had people coming in, and it's so funny. Like, I would love to hear what people have to say about this. Like, if you've ever managed a meeting space, or if you've ever managed rooms or anything like that. But I would have these people coming in when I first took over the management of the hotel, and they'd be like, "Hey, we have a meeting here every week, or every month or whatever, and we're getting ready to set up, and our people are going." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine for tonight. I just want to let you know." And now that you've seen how great we're able to provide for your guests, and how the parking is great, and how the accommodations are here for everybody and it's convenient, next time, here are your fees if you would like to continue doing this. And if you'd like to do it on long term, I can get you on a contract. But she was not happy, and she was like, "Well, you have exposure." And I'm like, "I can't pay my bills with exposure." I'm like, "That's wonderful." And I would be curious to see how people do this, because I know that a lot of people are like, "Yeah, I think it's funny to refer back to the Amber Heard Johnny Depp defamation trial. Again, I think it'd be what people would consider the defamation trial is what made me think of this, but they were calling for actors like a passion project. You know what I mean? Where you're just doing it and you're not making money. But when I was like running hotels, like, the whole deal is you have a room and you charge people to stay in that room. So some of the rooms are not set with beds, but the idea is the same. So it didn't make sense that, yep, okay, that's great, we're getting exposure for all these people, but one thing that I also found in the hotel business, and it was a quote that I read, to tell you the truth, but it was like, cheap bastards are usually a pain in the ass. And it was almost always true. Like, you think that you start out by like, "Hey, I'm going to give these guys a super low rate. I'm going to really help these people out." And by helping these people out, and then they realize like the regular rate that people should be paying is X, and this is X minus 50. They should just know, God, you're doing the biggest favor you could possibly do. You're not making any money on this. And then they're the biggest pain in the ass that you could possibly have to deal with. And then so it's like, of course it's not worth it, because you weren't making any money to begin with, so now it's a headache that you're getting no money for. So point being, I was like, I'm not gonna. I had a great boss. He was this little Puerto Rican guy, and I say little because he was smaller, and I almost didn't even realize that, because his fucking attitude and leadership he was 10 feet tall, you know what I mean? Like, but he was actually, in fact, like, I would set things on shelves in our office, because when I first started with him, he was my boss as a director of sales, and I was a sales manager, and I would put like all of our stuff on these shelves, like way up, and he thought it was disrespectful. He was like, "Dude, you're gonna really set that on those shelves?" Because he was like 5'3" or something like that, so he can't reach this stuff. He thinks I'm being an asshole by like setting everything up out of his reach. But he was, again, like 10 feet tall with his actual leadership and the way that he ran hotels. It was amazing. He had 2 hotels at the time that he first started as a director of sales, and I was his sales manager. And then he became the general manager of the 2 hotels, and I became the senior sales manager. Basically, taking over more responsibilities that he could no longer do when he became the general manager of the 2 hotels. But I don't remember why I'm talking about him anymore, but he would just teach me so much about just leadership and running a hotel and what you have to do. And it was just like, point being, we weren't gonna fucking give away a room for nothing. Like, he was just like, "No, this is a business. We're here to make money. Like, that's what we're here to do." Like, first of all, when he was in sales, that's what we were doing. And again, when he was a general manager, and it was one of the best situations, because in so many jobs, and I have to be honest, I think there's one other boss that I can think of that I've had of like that in my entire life, maybe 2, but where like they realized that this goddamn business runs on fucking making money, and if we don't make money, we don't go forward. And like, there's so many other people that like, work sucks, right? Like working hard stinks. So if you're bringing in events or bringing in groups or bringing in business, you have to serve these fucking customers. You have to serve these guests. You have to serve these clients. And so it's just like, if you would rather just sit on your ass all day and look at your telephone, you're mad that business comes into the hotel. You're mad that fucking business comes in, to the, like for instance, we had a courtyard, and so like it had meeting space, and then they also have like little Starbucks and stuff in there where they can do kind of food, but they can sit on their ass and make the same amount, or they can have to fucking run catering out of that thing and run coffee and run, you know what I mean? And so it's just like, it was so nice to have somebody that was like, no, we're here to make money. This is what we're doing. And like all the operations folks that would get mad because they had to work, he was just always there to stand behind it. And one of the things that he taught me is just, you're not going to give out a room for nothing. You don't do that. It's not what we're here to do. It doesn't serve us. And not to mention, again, all of the work that has to be done for a paid group still has to be done for a free group. It's so funny. I spent all of that time, all of that stupid fucking explanation, and all I was trying to get to is that when I worked at that hotel, I did go against that, and I would make a trade with Panda Express, and we had monthly meetings with Panda Express where Panda Express would use our meeting room, but they gave us so much fucking food that I thought we were ripping them off. Like, I honestly felt terrible because, like, I already, like, again, I should say, one of the other people that I thought was very a good leader in my life and that I learned a lot from as a boss, one thing that he did for me that went out so far as a person is he fed me constantly. So when I was a general manager of the hotel, like for instance, I probably bought like, 5-6 pizzas like at least twice a week. So for instance, I'm feeding them at least twice a week. And then they would try to like buy subs as a group and stuff. And I would always pick up the tab. Like I would always, on the hotel, of course, like I wouldn't necessarily pay for it, but I saw how much all these people were making. And I was like, you're not going to fucking pay for food for everybody in this fucking business. That's insane. I was like, the business is going to pick it up. No big deal. So point being, when I was at that company, I bought so much food. I always bought food because I just, and like even we had our breakfast, of course, and like the rule is you're not supposed to eat it. You're only allowed to eat things that day are going to go in the trash. But our staff ate fucking everything. And I was like, you know what I mean? If it doesn't come out to be an issue, I'm not going to deprive you of food. Dude, I did volunteer work when I was younger, and one of my favorite parts about sticking around was the fact that they fed us lunch every day. I know it sounds stupid, but free food went a long way for me. So I already fed this staff like a whole bunch. I made sure that they constantly got fed because I was just like, that was something that for some reason I appreciated so much. And then, we had this great deal on top of that where we got free Panda Express once a month. And it was just, they would give us so many of those containers. Like they have some package that's worth literally hundreds of dollars where they give you so much food. But that's the only other time I can think that I ate that. But I know it's bad for you. I know I shouldn't be eating it. I have a personal preference where I would love to constantly eat things that are high in sugar and fried. And for instance, if I had to guess how that fucking orange chicken is prepared at Panda Express, it's got to probably be fried first, right? Can't be good however it's prepared. And then if you're eating like the rice or lo mein or anything with it, I mean, I don't know. I've seen healthy people eat rice. I personally try to stay away from all of it because I'm like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's that. I don't know. I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if rice is good for you. I know healthy people eat rice, but it's just like, it seems like too much for me. But I just think that we should try to find a way to normalize maybe something that's not so terrible. Because it's like, if you eat like, say, maybe you do go to Panda Express, right? Maybe you do it like every 3 weeks or something like that, or you do it every 3 months. It's totally not going to kill you. It's not going to fucking change your life. But if you have to work like an 8-hour job 5 times a week, 9-hour job 5 times a week, 12-hour job 4 or 5 times a week, and you get off every day and you do this where you treat yourself. You just are like, hey man, I worked my ass off today. I've completed my obligations. I deserve my treat. I deserve my fucking sugar rush, or I deserve my fucking fried food that's going to make my brain just go haywire for the next few hours. Like, it's over the long term that I feel like it it literally destroys every aspect of our lives. So it's like I sometimes I don't even allow myself to do it because I'm like, I know personally, unfortunately, that I'm so like, what do they call it? I think it's like addictive personality or whatever. So like if I do it once, I'm gonna want to do it every day. So I can't allow myself to just do that stop and get the orange chicken. I can't allow myself to do that stop at the liquor store and get the fucking White Claw, even though it's like one time. That's not such a big deal. And again, like I heard in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard fucking defamation trial, they said that like somebody who's drinking once a week is not considered bad. Because for instance, one of them was trying to clarify, it was that doctor that had his fucking I almost said Bernie Madoff, but he had his Bernie Sanders hair, where like he didn't fucking do anything with it. It literally, I almost wondered if maybe they wanted to make him look like a cute grandpa or something like that, and they purposefully fucked up his hair before he went out there. Because if you're going on that fucking stage in that trial, you would think you at least looked in the mirror. But then after the recess, he still didn't fix his hair. He still had his gray hair like going all over the place. And so it's like, it's not something that he paid attention to. So, or it was done on purpose and they wanted to make him look like some cute grandpa or something like that. But I don't know. And I know I look shiny sometimes. Like, I don't know how it comes through. It's silly. It's just like, I told my son, like, it was funny. It was super overcast today. And so we actually were able to like open the windows and like we fucking cleared this place out and we got like everything all like cooled down. But, even still, like I it's funny. I've seen Whitney Cummings, for instance, for years, and she just is like never. She treats her face like a piece of leather, is what she says. She never allows it to get too wet, never allows it to get too dry. Always keeps it, basically keeps it moistened, keeps it conditioned. You got to take care of it, keep it in the right weather, the right all these things. I am not even close to the astronomical size of income that she has, and so I personally just use like as a concealer. There's more preparation on my preparation H on my face than an opioid addict's ass. Like I have so much preparation H on my face, and I know it makes me look shiny sometimes, but like that's why Whitney Cummings things is like always shiny, and it's like I try to pick that up because like, dude, otherwise I have the worst eye bags. Like my mom, her entire family, that's what she's always trying to talk about. Like she finally found both my parents are adopted. Both my parents did not grow up with their biological families, and so for instance, when my mom found her biological mother, she's always like trying to brag about how like, no, I guess it's not brag, but just acknowledge that this particular gene line has very big bags under our eyes. So if I don't put concealer on my face on a constant basis, I look like I got the fuck beat out of me. Sometimes I'm editing these and I'm like, dude, you look like shit. You look like total dog shit. You look like trash. But now I'm all self-conscious. Now I'm all worried. But I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I wasn't trying to be a party pooper. All I'm trying to say is it would be nice if we found a way to normalize healthier things to wind down with at the end of the day. As much as my desire said, hey, stop and get something to drink to fucking take off the edge here at the end of the day, or as much as I, again, wanted to eat some trash food just to get some sort of rush that I would enjoy for the amount of time that the mouth pleasure is there to fucking be had. And then after that, my mouth starts watering. I start thinking about this mouth pleasure, this possible potential mouth pleasure, and my mouth starts fucking watering like a motherfucker. That watering as much as my face. Again, I tried to cool this place down. It's impossible. It's just like, I don't know. I've talked about it before. Maybe I should fucking record it at a different time of day, the middle of the night, when it's fucking cool, when it actually cools down. Jesus Christ. When I open my windows at the fucking peak of the night, when it's just super dark, sometimes I wake up and I just open the windows for like a few hours in the middle of the night, and oh my gosh, that super cold air when it's just super dark and chilly. Oh, it's like the most amazing feeling. It seems like I literally get I was going to say I get my best rest at that time, but I think that there's actually something to that when it's like a certain cool temperature, it actually helps you sleep properly. But, I was just trying to say it'd be nice to normalize something that seems like over the long term it would do less harmful effects. But I don't know that I have any good suggestions. I mean, I don't know. Some would say that cannabis is a fairly, the nice thing is there's never any hangover. Like, right, like you wake up the next day, or personally, if I, enjoy cannabis, I wake up the next day and I'm not fucking I'm not like, I don't feel any different. I don't feel any different than I would have felt if I did nothing, So that's kind of a nice thing. I almost feel like maybe sometimes I get better sleep, but I think that sleep excerpt, what was he, the sleep expert, like Dr. Matthew Walker or whatever, that was on JRE. I think he said something like, actually, people that drink and smoke prior to bed, it is not good for you, and you do not get good sleep, if I remember correctly. But sometimes I feel like I do. It must be a fake thing. But I almost feel like we need to normalize. Doesn't it seem like I remember one thing that always stands out to me, and I know that's like the biggest thing to do, but like one thing that stands out, like when you think back to Easter, like think back to Easter a few months ago, and you're walking through the aisles, the seasonal aisles of the stores, or, you're shopping online in the fucking seasonal advertisements. How much of it is candy? It's crazy how much of it is sugar. It seems like so much, like where, for instance, you go to the stocking stuffer aisle in the seasonal aisle when it's Christmas time, and it seems like so much of it is candy. You go to of course, Halloween, for instance, the whole fucking thing's about candy, right? It's like, it seems like so many holidays, there's just these opportunities just to overload everybody with sugar. I almost think it'd be cool if there was a way, because I almost feel like I'm keeping my son, because for instance, if I don't get him a whole bunch of gifts that are related around sugar, I almost feel like he's missing out on all that stuff, because it's there. Clearly there's lots of people purchasing it every year, and there's lots of people receiving it as gifts every year, but I almost wonder if he's missing out in the sense that I'm not loading up his stocking, or not loading up his fucking Easter basket, or not loading up any of these things with just so much ridiculous sugar. It's just it doesn't seem like, it seems like there's got to be a way to normalize that too. And again, I'm not trying to be a party pooper. I'm just saying it stinks that this these are the normalized things, right? It's so many people for so many years get off work and they have drinks, right? Even in fictional stories, real life, your parents, whoever it is. So many people get off work and they eat terrible food. Clearly the drive-thrus are constantly full, midday, into the day, all the goddamn time. So somebody's going there, and it's just again, with the holidays, it seems like that's the thing to do. So many of the seasonal aisles are just constantly packed with fucking sugar. It's crazy. It's just I don't know. It's weird how much it's normalized. It's crazy how it's I again, back to Easter. If I think back to Easter, I remember when I saw people some people will post their Easter baskets and stuff that they've gotten for their kids or whatever that the kids got. And I was like, God, thank God there's other people that got their kid a fucking blanket, or got their kid something that's totally not sugar. Cause it's it just seems like that's the expectation, that you're just going to load them up with fucking Mike and Ike's and M&M's and Dots and everything else that you can think of. I like candy too. Don't get me wrong. Fuck, dude. Sour Patch Kids are so goddamn good. I don't get it. If we have Sour Patch Kids in the house, I will just lie my face off to myself and just tell myself that I deserve them after I work out, because the glucose that my muscles will enjoy after being depleted. I will just lie my face off to myself. I know that there's something actually to that. But I don't think that I should be eating sour. I feel when they're not in the house, I feel much better. Discipline would be cool. If I had some discipline, that would probably be the better thing. But I'm like a fucking drug addict when Sour Patch Kids are around me, dude. Or even my son's Mike and Ike's, man. He'll get mad at me. He'll be like, you're buying me more. And I'm like, I can't buy you more. I can't buy you more because then there'll be more in the house. I'll just keep fucking eating them. I'm a goddamn animal. It's ridiculous. It's not fair. I should just have some discipline. But some candies, I'm just it's stupid. I shouldn't eat them. I know they're bad for me. One time when I did acid, I probably talked about this before, but one time when I did acid, I literally got up the next day and I just threw away I don't even think I slept, really. I might have slept, but I threw away all my candy because I had been eating so much candy at the time, and I was just I can't do this anymore. I was like, this is fake. I was like, this is nothing. I was I literally remember thinking when I was tripping, I'm literally just putting nothing into my body. You know what I mean? My body is made to eat food. My body is made to be nourished and energized by actual food. And this stuff, this creation that I'm putting in my body is not any of those things. I was like, it's none of the things that my body was created to live on. And it's just like, I was blown away. I was like, I will never eat candy again. And of course, I eventually started eating sweets again and started eating candy again. Maybe I need to fucking trip my brains off again. Maybe I need to go back to that realm that I was able to visit so many years ago, that allowed me to realize that I needed to change my diet and change my habits and change my job and change fucking everything. I ended up changing shortly thereafter just by that one experience. But I heard Joe Rogan talking with Neil Brennan on the JRE recently, and they were talking about how it's not for everybody, and I gotta say I agree. And you know what, another thing I realized is, so I love podcasts, right? I speak on this podcast. I got the idea of this podcast, of course, because I'm a large enthusiastic fan of podcasts, one of them being, of course, the Joe Rogan Experience, and so many other ones. But I realized, because of that, so much of what I'm experiencing is actually through either the eyes or the experience of someone else. So, like, as an example, when this Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial started, I wasn't going to get into it. It didn't seem like, I'm like, that's not our business. Nobody should be monetizing off of that. It's not our fucking deal. And then I fucking watched a second of it and I was hooked. I was watching it fucking later than I should be staying up. I'm plugging my tablet in. I'm literally standing at the wall. I don't have a long cord or anything. I have the normal standard white cord. So like at the end of the day when I'm going to bed. So I'm like, I'll plug this in before I go to bed, right? And I don't keep it in the same room as me because I heard something at one time or another that said you're not supposed to keep your electronics in the same room as you. So aside from the one I use for my alarm, I keep them all in a different room because I just have some weird thing about that. But I'm plugging it in and I'm literally like hunched over at the wall, like fucking bending over, kneeling, like just sitting there like I'm supposed to be plugging it in and turning off the tablet and setting it away for the night. And instead of getting a good amount of rest, the proper amount of rest that I should, I'm fucking glued to that trial. And I wasn't like watching the clips or anything like that. And it's almost because of this point that I'm trying to make. It seems like for instance, I realize I experience all this trial. If I watch the full days, I still haven't finished like the beginning where Johnny Depp testified, the end where Amber Heard had to testify again, a couple of the last days of the trial. I think the last maybe 1-2 days of the trial and a lot of the beginning days of the trial. I saw some chunk in the middle. I'm like trying to remember. Yeah. So I was talking about the Johnny Depp trial, talking about the trial and what I've seen. Oh, and I realized, like, when you're not looking at something through the eyes of somebody else, your opinion is almost so much different, right? Like, for instance, when I'm watching the trial myself, I have all these opinions. I have all these thoughts. I have all these things. Otherwise, if you're, say, getting your news or your information or you're getting something new that's relevant from, like, say, a podcast, you're getting it from their perception on what they've seen and what they're reporting to you, right? And so I was like, well, I guess I need to try to find more in my life the direct, like almost the, I was going to say something about a tit, you know what I mean, which is fucking terrible, and I don't even know why it's in my head. I don't know what metaphor that my brain thinks exists that has to do with a female's chest, but unfortunately that's what my brain is trying to say, and I know that's not the right thing. The idea is like straight from the tap, maybe? Is that a thing, straight from the tap? Fuck, I'm so lost in this. I don't even remember what I was trying. Oh, so I was like, I need to find more information that's like straight from the tap, right? Like where I'm directly connecting to the experience itself, the initial, original experience I personally am perceiving and observing and experiencing myself in that moment. And then I will, but then I realized, like, what is the news? What is the fucking... all news reporters are doing the exact same thing, right? Like in reality, even if they were, say, giving us an unbiased, objective opinion, they're still just, they observe something, they notice something, they learned and gained knowledge on something, and then they're just sharing it with you. And I was like, it's like so much of almost communication is you're taking somebody else's observations and then you're making an opinion based on that. And I was like, because I was thinking, like, it seems like when I can personally observe it, I have a better understanding of the basis of my opinions and why I think those things. Whereas if I'm basing all my opinions off of people that are basing opinions, it seems like it's a little bit different, right? Because maybe just your selection, your what do they call that? Your group, the selection of the things. I know there's a term for it. Doesn't matter. I can't think of it. It's like even your select group then is just, it's narrowed down by all of the observations of these individuals, rather than, say, being able to see the full scope of the situation for yourself. And so, like, that was just, but then I realized, like, again, like, that's so many things, like, right? Like, even I realized that that's probably the problem that I actually find with religion itself. I mean, if I had to say why I personally had an issue with the whole religion thing, I think it roots in that as well. That it's like, actually, I'm getting my opinion from, say, the priest or the bishop or the whoever, the teacher, the person that has gained this knowledge or observed this information, and I'm gaining it from them. But in reality, even they are taking their observations off of somebody's observations. And then it's like, I even think I heard, wasn't the Bible itself was not written down until years of being verbally translated, right? And then, of course, it had to be changed languages as well, correct? So it's like, it not only was it just traded verbally for so long, but then it's written in a different language, and then it has to be translated. And then it's like, again, it just seems like it's the original thing that the original person said could be so different than what made it to the book. And then what made it to translation to our English language today could, again, be so different. But it's like, it's weird how that's so much of life. That's actually so much of the things that we take in. Like, for instance, the news entirely, like I said, that's all it is. They've observed something and they're reporting to you. And it's weird. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm better off to create an experience with that event and myself, my body, my whatever I am, by directly connecting with it. And it's just so weird how that's so rare, actually. It's so few things. I don't know. But I don't know what the fuck that came from. The whole idea originally was like, I'd like to normalize, like, and you guys should tell me in the comments. I'd be curious to see, like, what is your routine when you get off of work at the end of the day? What is your treat that you allow yourself when you've completed your obligations, when you complete your 8-9 hour shift, when you're fucking done working your ass off, sweating, you stink, you're ready to go home, you're ready to kick your feet up, you're ready to get showered, you're ready to do whatever you do to relax at the end of the day. Maybe it is take the edge off with a drink, maybe it's smoke a joint, maybe it's enjoy some delicious fast food, maybe, you know what I mean? What is it that you like to do? And again, maybe there's things that are already healthy that people are already doing that are a healthy response, but it's like so many of the treats that I personally think that I want to give myself, they're bad. Like, I mean, there's times when I've tricked myself when I'm being crazy healthy, where like I'll put a bowl full of like sliced apples and peanut butter, and then I just tell myself, well, peanut butter is bad for you, and it's delicious, especially if you're not eating anything bad. It's fantastic. So like you know what I mean? If you're depriving yourself and then like tricking your mind, you can almost like eat something that's not too terrible. Because some people may say like, what? Peanut butter's bad for me? It's just, I think it's got so much sugar, and especially the kind that we're eating is like so little actual like peanut, like for instance, anybody that's gotten that natural shit where you have to like fucking stir it, you know, that if that's what peanut butter is supposed to be, and this Jif and Peter Pan and all this stuff that we're getting is, you know, so point being, yeah, it would just depend on who you ask, but most healthy people would consider that kind of peanut butter as trash and bad for you. And I think, again, it's because of all the sugar. But again, you can like trick yourself and do something like that, but I'd be curious to see, like, what do you guys like to treat yourself with? What do you guys like to give yourself when you feel like you've completed your obligations? And do you feel like it's a good habit? Do you feel like it's something that you can continue for the rest of your life and you're not going to be affected in a negative way? Or do you feel like, again, if it's like orange chicken every day, if you keep eating orange chicken over and over again, you're going to be 300 pounds someday. If you keep fucking drinking alcohol every day, your brain's not going to work so well every day. It's not going to work in an optimal condition where you could actually have some functionality that maybe you're depriving yourself of. I don't know. I'd be curious to see what people do. But that was my original point. And then I don't even remember what I got to that I was trying to say. I don't know how I got there. Don't remember. So it doesn't matter anymore. So that's cool. But sometimes I feel like my thoughts in general, I feel like sometimes that like if I had to look at my thoughts as they come and go, and I had to try to track them down as they come in and they go, it seems like sometimes the current is so quick that I almost can't make out a single detailed event or a single detailed thought. But like if I have the opportunity to smoke, oddly enough, it seems like it gives me an opportunity where the current slows down. I guess I do it over my head because I think that I think of my thoughts. Oh, it's so dumb. I'm like thinking of as if my thoughts are over my head in some way. But I guess in reality, it's weird when you think that like your thoughts are actually just fucking, they're almost, the energy pattern of your thoughts is almost like the same as fucking anything else, right? It's weird to think it's just like a different degree of energy, right? In some weird way. But it's fascinating how sometimes it seems like it slows down the current. How sometimes it feels like the translation that I couldn't previously make, or the code that I could no longer remember. It's like I can all of a sudden remember. You know, it's funny, that reminds me of, there's all these commercials that I keep seeing. Like, for instance, I watch YouTube and I enjoy podcasts. As I mentioned, I'm a very big fan of podcasts. And when I will watch YouTube, I will get these commercials from Google. And they have those commercials where they're like talking about like how they'll remember all their passwords for you. And I'm just like, I can't see how that could possibly go wrong. I can't see how you could possibly make, anything bad out of knowing all of my passwords to everything. I'm sure that couldn't go wrong in any way. It's like, the cliche line is, it's the beginning of every sci-fi horror movie or whatever, right? It's the beginning of every fucking, well, I guess they are SKYNET, aren't they? I mean, I guess if there was going to be a SKYNET, it would be Google, right? I mean, ultimately, if you had to think of like, comparison to say actual sci-fi movies that we've seen and say like who would be that company, it would be them. But again, that's my point. Like, how, you know what I mean? Like if say things ever went wrong and they have my bank password, like, I don't know, is that going to negatively affect me in some way? Like, I guess if you had like if you had an account at McDonald's, like I realized like people use these apps and stuff at these fast food restaurants, right? Like if you had one of those accounts, maybe not such a big deal, unless there was that story where they said that infant ordered like 100 cheeseburgers or something through DoorDash or some shit. So I guess like if you did that, it's funny, I delivered like 10 pizzas the other day, which my entire life I always thought how embarrassing it would be to be a delivery driver and how it would just be the most negative thing, and it's a piece of shit deal. And I remember even like when I watched Futurama and how Fry is a delivery driver, and he like gets to the future and he's so excited that he's going to have a new life and then he's going to have a new job and they're going to find out what his new future is, and then he gets they have to like actually get labeled or chipped or whatever in the future, and he gets like fucking chipped as a delivery driver, and he's just like, this is my future no matter what. But luckily he finds his great million fucking times over, a nephew or whatever it is. But I always thought about how it would be such an embarrassing thing. But like the other day I was carrying these 10 pizzas, and again, especially pizza delivery driver itself is exactly like the most negative thing. But I don't know. I guess it's just that the only nice part is like you don't have to go anywhere in the morning. Like, for instance, one of those people that I was mentioning that I respect a lot, it was not the small Puerto Rican man, but it was another gentleman that taught me a lot about money and taught me a lot about running a business and taught me a lot about being an entrepreneur and things like that. He was the guy that fed me like every day. But fuck, now I can't remember what I was going to say about him. Damn it. Thinking about food. Again, dude, I want pizza today so bad. That's what I was talking about. I was talking about how I carried like 10 pizzas the other day. And I mean, my car still smells like it. My car still fucking smells like it. I guess my whole thought was just like, it's nice to not have to fucking, I don't remember what the connection was with my old boss, but that was actually it. I'm literally about to say it. He had this rule, like sometimes I would just come in, right? And if I came in at the time that I was supposed to, I would kind of just go in and go to work, right? Like I just thought I was going, and one time he like pulled me aside and he was like, you need to come in to my office and you need to come and sit and talk with me every morning when you get here. He's like, you need to like come in and say like, good morning, and say like, to see how my life's going. Let me see how your life's going. And like, I hate that shit. I fucking hate it more than anything. And especially when, like, again, I respect this man, and I mentioned this before even talking about this story. I respect this man very greatly. I feel like I learned a lot from him, and I will always hold him in that light. But there are lots of other people that, like, for instance, I've worked with over the years that I fucking hated talking to. I hated listening to any word that they ever had to fucking utter out of their mouth. And so the idea of like having to go into jobs and having to like fucking sit there and listen to people's bullshit. I remember even in my like roofing job, we would get there at a certain time and we didn't leave until a certain time so much later, and I hated it. It was just all just listening. Literally so many people would sit there and eat their breakfast at that time, and I'd eaten my breakfast hours and hours earlier. I would show up every day like more than 30 minutes early every day. He like gave me this fucking job of like keeping the shelf clean because I think he realized I needed some sort of task or something like that. But point being, that's what I would do when I'd show up early. But yeah, I just I don't truly remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, I just can't stand like, you know what I mean? I guess that's the only benefit of all. Like I don't have to go report to anybody every morning. I don't have to listen to some boss tell fucking dumb jokes that aren't funny and fake laugh at them. Like I don't have to fucking go appease you for an hour and a half and sit in a building while you drink coffee and you just eat your breakfast and talk shit and wait till we actually get to the real work. Like the nice thing is like you literally just go to work, and like the whole idea of the business is so many people want contactless delivery. So for instance, it's very rare I will go through days and days of doing it before I even talk to a customer. It's so rare that I have to talk to a customer. That's again one of my favorite things. Like I put on like a podcast. Like I said, I'm a podcast fan, right? So I'm like out here making money, put on a podcast, and again, it's like it's always. But I don't know. I like driving around. I like Colorado. I fucking like all of that, and I hate having to like talk to some fucking moron and pretend like their stories are good and fucking enjoy their dumb life that you don't actually give any fuck about. Like I don't know, as an example, my mom, like she has worked at the same place for like ever, like forever. Like I want to say like I can't, if I said 20 years I feel like that would undercut it, but like she has other people there that have worked there for like 20 years. So it's like in that situation, you literally probably develop maybe a relationship with these people where you can more so be yourself, and you don't have to so much like be a corporate version of yourself. And I can't stand that. I remember asking that small Puerto Rican man at one time, I remember saying like, because he could tell when the first corporate bosses come, I was just being myself, and he was like, you got to do the corporate thing, because he could tell in the beginning I'd do the corporate thing, but I got so comfortable with him I wouldn't do it anymore. I would just be myself, and he was like, you gotta do it. And I was like, it's bullshit. I was like, it's all bullshit. It's all a face. It's all a front. It's all all these words, it's like the Jen Psaki's circle back shit, right? It's like that's when you hear all the time in the corporate world. It's all this just jargon and front for trying to avoid the actual person that you are in order to continue to make income. And it's just like, I don't know. I do know. How is that the fucking, how is that not the thing that's looked down upon? How is it that somebody that, like, for instance, when I do this where I make money as something that I personally, again, I never thought I would do it. I've looked down upon it. I understand how it's bullshit, and anybody that has any real status would say that's the trashiest service job you could ever get. But, like, I don't know. I guess it's just like when you have the freedom of, like, getting to just enjoy your own thoughts. You have the freedom of not having to fake a personality with people. You have the freedom of getting to enjoy your own music or your own entertainment. You have the freedom of working the hours that you would like to. You have the freedom of leaving and coming and going whenever you would like to. It's like, why is that the negative thing as to being a fake version of yourself and having to report at a fucking, like you're a miner, like you go to a mine every morning at 7 a.m. and you get to leave every night at 7 p.m. Like, how is that better? Why is it better to have to report to some place where you put on a fake face for so long throughout the day just to fucking pay your bills? Like, I don't know. I've done it so many times. And again, of course, I changed my tune then and I ran it for years. It's just like, I hate it. I don't like doing it. I can't stand it. And I just wonder, I don't remember even what the fuck I was trying to talk about. But, yeah, I guess originally I said my thoughts go by too fast sometimes. It's nice when I can actually fucking catch them. But I will be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm not ignorant to the stigma. I personally completely understand the stigma, for instance, of, say, delivery driver. I remember when I was younger, when my mom would always ask me, like, why I was so particular about what job I would try to get. She was like, why can't you work fast food, or why can't you do this? And so, for instance, I've always been more focused on, like, what the outward appearance of the occupation or role is to the public. And then I had lots of jobs. I had a lot of good jobs, like where, for instance, when you're standing in a bar, you're meeting a girl, you're putting it on your dating profile, whatever it is that you're doing, they sound really good. Sales manager, director of sales, dual director of sales, senior sales manager. I've had a general manager. I've had plenty of different roles, or, project manager, different fucking titles. And then I realized, like, none of those really ever changed anything. Like, the truth be told, the person that I am, whatever energy pattern that I possess, whatever I'm here as a part of, it doesn't change depending on what I'm called when I create income. And so another thing I realized is, like, my son, like, he's 8 right now. He's only going to be 8 one time. My dad had still not entered my life at this point. My dad was still in prison when I was 8 years old. I still had only seen him on, like, videos or in prison visiting rooms. I know that there will come a day that my son will not be interested in having me around. He will get to a point in, say, his teenage life where he is trying to develop himself and trying to find more out about himself, and he wants to spend more time with his friends. And so I just feel like right now, if I do have this opportunity to create income for myself and spend a maximum amount of time with my son while he's available and while he's still interested in spending time with me, that seems like the smartest thing. I mean, you hear all these stories about all these people that accumulated all this wealth, and so many of them say they just wish they spend more time with their family. They wish they had their family around them. They wish they had their family there. And it's just like, again, I would love to make millions of dollars. I would love to be very wealthy. I would love to have financial freedom in a way where I don't have to worry about paying my rent, or I don't have to worry about paying my bills, or I don't have to worry about the next month. But I enjoy getting to see him every day. And that's where it's just like, I've had so many jobs where you do dedicate 10, 12, 8, whatever it is, however many hours a day, and you just don't see your kids. You just, they're with somebody else. The nice thing is, I mean, school goes on for so much of the year. My point in saying all this is just like, I get the stigma and I understand how it's bad. And I guess, because I guess I think about like, should I hide it? Is it something you're supposed to be embarrassed about? Is it something you're supposed to be concerned of, that you make money doing delivery work? But it's just like, I don't know. It fits into all the things that are important to me. It's like, it gives me the opportunity and schedule to work out. It gives me the opportunity and schedule to take care of and see my son. It gives me the opportunity to work when I'd like to, obviously allowing me to do those things. And then, it's just like when I don't have my son, I work. That's when I work. It's just like, it seems like the easiest thing. It's like, that's what's worked for me. But, I don't remember. I feel like there was something else I was going to try to say about all that, but now I can't remember it. I made a big salad and I probably have lettuce in my teeth still. I was going to pick some. Those big salads, man, they're, for the longest time, I even on this podcast in the past have called them a scam. And I just realized after a while, like, maybe I just don't use the croutons. Maybe like I enjoy the large salad kit, but I don't put the croutons in, right? Like I can have all the other things, like the dressing's probably still not good for me, and the cheese could probably, find something that's better. But at the end of the day, I guess it's better than me eating a cheeseburger, right? It's better than me eating a fucking hoagie full of deli meat. Like, I don't know. I guess that's what I tell myself. I even recently had I had a graveyard full of those fucking crouton packs that I could give them to my son. I was like, take these to your mom, see if she can do something with them. My dad, I remember, my dad, after he got out of prison, he would love something like that. He would fucking hang on to that shit forever. He'd be like, oh yeah, you put that in a soup, dude. Put that in a soup. They make so many soups, dude. They really like soups. He would make that fucking top ramen, dude. He'd make top ramen and put like cheese in it. It was ridiculously good. I mean, it had to be the worst thing in the entire world for you, but he would make cheese in his top ramen. So like, in addition to the very delicious salty broth that comes in a top ramen, he would melt cheese in there, so it ends up being this like more of a cheese broth. And then also he would just douse it in Cheetos, so like there'd be a crunchy aspect of having like Cheetos. And it makes me think of how he would save like ends of bags of chips. He'd have like shitloads of ends of bags of chips, and he'd be like, no, those are good for soups. And I'd be like, dude, throw this away. This is garbage. Get rid of this shit. Dude, and now, fuck me, oh my god, I bitched last week about it. I wasn't going to talk about this. I bitched last week about how I was trying to buy protein and it went up $10, and I was like, that just seems a little excessive. That's a lot. I know there's people that were concerned about baby food. I'd like to hope that, for God's sakes, people have gotten their baby formula by now. I hope to God that by the time that I've edited this and published it, that it's not still an issue. So it's crazy for me to complain about it when that's something that people are dealing with. But at the same time, I had complained that it went up $10 since the last time that I purchased it. I was going to purchase it again, and it went up another $10. I know that doesn't sound like that much, but dude, like, fuck me, like, everything is just blowing up in fucking cost. The inflation is so evident. It's insane. I don't even understand it. I don't even understand how it can be that fast. Like, I was literally looking at like Muscle Milk, like the brand name Muscle Milk, to me would like think it would be high price. And now normal protein powders, normal whey protein powders are more than Muscle Milk. Like, you can buy Muscle Milk for less than that. It's like, what the fuck is going on? It's crazy. It's too much. It's just too much. Like, it's got to stop at some point. I can't just keep, every time I go to the store, shit is more and more and more, and it's every goddamn time. It's insane. It's unreasonable. It's ridiculous. It's like, there's got to be something done. I don't understand. I don't understand at all. I mean, I get inflation, but this is just fucking ridiculous. But yeah, I get the stigma. Maybe I should stop doing it. I just, like I said, appreciate the opportunities to spend time with my son, and I feel like there's one day that he's not going to want to be around me or spend time with me, and so I should take advantage of this opportunity while it's here. And then you see, like, I guess the unfortunate part of growing up in Colorado, I know Columbine was like a lot of people heard about it, and it became a very big event that I dropped my phone, good. that a lot of people heard about. And then, of course, the Aurora Theater shooting was huge, and a lot of people heard about it. So I guess my thought to say so is like the unfortunate part of being so fucking close to so many of these extremely tragic events is, I guess, until it happens to me, I'm only going to have that hopeful thought. Like so many times I do try to treat the time when my son is leaving and I'm dropping him off at school where I may not ever see him again. But even sometimes, like, there's been days when he got out of the car angry, and you just think, like, man, if that fucking happened with any of those kids in that the school shooting in Texas, I just understand that, you know, a lot of things went wrong. It sounds like a lot of police did not get involved that should have got involved. And I know I've said it before and even felt like it was a scary thing to say, because as I've mentioned, I would always like, if I'm in trouble, to be able to call the police and to have them respond in a way that will help me. But it seems like the response, based on what I've seen so far in that Texas school shooting, is that they were not engaging while children were inside, literally pleading for help and being, I mean, I don't even know what word to put to what was done, but you know, we're so lucky to be able to have this time with our children. And, you know, it's like so many of us take for granted that it should be summertime now if you're listening to this, or at least it was when I was recording this. But when the school year is going on, it's like it's one of those things where we take for granted every day to be able to pick up our children. But it's like it's something that it may not always be there. So I'm not trying to be fatalistic. I'm not trying to be crazy or anything like that, but it's just like we could all be more aware. And I guess the point being, it is present in my mind. I'm not always there and thoughtful of it, but unfortunately, because of so many events that have happened literally within 90 minutes of my home, like, I mean, Aurora's closer than that, but I think Columbine's probably like got to be 90 minutes from where I grew up. But, point being, these things that happen, I mean, that's about as close as it can get. You know what I mean? You can't necessarily have, until it happens to your school or your theater that you went to while you watched a movie or whatever it is. You're not going to experience it in the same way as these people have. But I try to remember as often as I can while I'm telling my son goodbye and giving him a hug and kiss and telling him that I love him, that it may be the last time that I see him, and I'm always thankful when I get to pick him up at the end of the day and there's no active things. And the few times that they've locked down his school, he remembers very, very distinctly. But my point in saying that is what he thinks is a scary event because of the none that have occurred, and the few that have occurred were such a low grade. The low grade, like just having people on their school grounds that they didn't know what they were doing was scary enough for them. Like that was enough. Like the few times that happened stood out in his mind. But that's because they're so good at keeping an eye on people that come and go and people that are nearby and shutting the school down if there's some unknown creepy character nearby. And so I guess that's a nice thing. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I mentioned it when that shooting happened that I had seen with the police in Grand Rapids with Patrick Lyoya, in the sense that if it was your children, you'd lose it. And I, again, sometimes feel embarrassed in the sense that I cried my eyes out. So I don't want to be too emotional, but the idea, I can completely be empathetic. I can 100% be empathetic. I just, I'm lucky, and I probably even take for granted that I haven't had to be in those shoes. Yeah, and it's like I have other stuff to talk about, but really that's probably, there's no reason to probably change the subject and try to talk about anything goofy or make any dumb points after that. So that'll probably just be a good thing to sign off on. I won't tell anybody if you like the video. It can just be our little secret. I know you're too cool to hit the like button. I know that you will enjoy the content and you'll tune in and chat with me. but it's tough to hit that like button. I understand that. I get that it's one of those things that you may be too cool for, but I promise I won't tell anybody. Just be our little secret. Just me and you will know, but you can hit the like button before you leave. It would do me a large favor, help the algorithm. And of course, if you subscribe, you can tune in every week when the new video comes out. And I would love to see you next time we do a video. And I appreciate you tuning in today. And I love you, and I thank you. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.